that is a must. So we should try to be creative in everything we do. Tech savvy. So we all know that technology is increasing, and so I wouldn't say technology is taking over the world. It's just there to help us to get everything done effectively. So we should try to seek to learn constantly and try to learn different Microsoft suites and different technological suites. Um, we also have some other things such as active listening, organizational skills, and arithmetic skills. So we should try to learn basic arithmetic skills. If you're like myself, I hate math, but we know that it is imperative to an extent. So we must seek to try to develop our arithmetic skills. And lastly on this slide is our leadership skills. And that is very important in the working world, and we're going to look further on that. So these are some skills that a leader must have. And once again, this list is not really exhausted. So we have a lot of different types of skills that a leader should possess. We also have different types of leader, but we're not going to look into that for this meeting. So a leader should be able to critically think. A leader should be empathetic, meaning that he or she should try to put themselves in a person's shoe or try to understand what that person is going through and see how best as possible they can help. We should also be able to effectively listen to others if we want to be a good leader, and we should try to motivate others. So motivating is really imperative when it comes to leadership. So we should try to learn to see if we could cheer up our peers when they're feeling down, because we all know that a demotivated employee will impair productivity. So that is one of the most imperative skills when it comes to leaders, motivating others. And a leader is there to delegate activities. And when you're a leader, you're constantly learning. So we can't shy away from that or run away from that, because we have to, because with time, we know that technology increase. We know that we we go through culture differences, culture shock and all of those. So we have to constantly learn new ideas and new techniques. Conflict management. So this is something that we cannot run away from. We're going to have disagreement in the work environment always. So we should try to see how best as possible we can resolve a conflict and come to a solution that is both acceptable to our employees or whoever is facing the conflict. Discipline. As a leader, we should be disciplined because we are also disciplining others. So we should be able to discipline ourselves. And lastly, we should be able to be confident in whatever we do as a leader. Um, for the next slide, we'll be looking at a video by Linda Reynard. So she's a career coach, and she's just going to list some things that we should, or some pointers I should say, that we should take into consideration when adapting to the working world.
Hey, ambitious professionals, it's Linda Rayner of lindarayner.com, guiding you to a career and life you'll truly enjoy. And in today's video, I am going to walk you through my 5 tips on how to adapt.
Sorry about that. Are you here in the video? Are you guys here in the video?
It's a little bit low.
A little bit low. Not sure. So I'm trying to, let me see. So I'm not sure because my computer is all turned up. But
It was good for me. And I'm
oh,
seeing persons in the chat saying it's good.
oh, okay. So I'm just gonna.
All right, we're not hearing it any at all now.
You were saying that you can't hear it.
We're not hearing it any at all now.
The first time it was playing, okay, but now it's not. There's no
Okay, let me
audio.
just try something back. Okay.
Hey, ambitious professionals, it's Linda
You
Rayner
hearing
of
it now?
Yes.
LindaRayner.com, guiding you to a career and life you'll truly enjoy. And in today's video, I am going to walk you through my 5 tips on how to adapt to a new workplace environment so that you can set the best impression and set yourself up for success in your new company. Ready to get the job you want? Top-notch interview is coming soon. For more info and free training, head to jointni.com. As a career strategist, I've had the honor of being able to help numerous professionals land their dream job offers. And so if this is something that you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I can give you details about that at the end of this video. When you first start a new job, it's very easy to just go with the flow, do as you're told, and try not to rock the boat just so that you can pass the probation period. But what if I told you that there were different ways that you can show up to your new workplace environment, not only so that you can just fit in and adapt, but that you can really truly be your best self every day. So I'm going to walk you through my 5 tips on how to adapt to a new workplace environment so that you can set yourself up for success in your new job and company. Tips number 1, observe the lay of the land. Notice how things are done. If you find that the way that people work in your company or department is very individualistic, meaning people are very independent with their work, then take notice of that and keep that in mind. This likely means that in this company, they tend to value making independent decisions and working independently and being able to come up with solutions and recommendations on your own with limited guidance and supervision. On the other hand, if you find that there's a lot of collaboration going on, people sharing ideas with one another, then perhaps this company or team tends to value communication and teamwork. Being able to take notice of your environment and keeping this in mind will help you in your future interactions with your coworkers and colleagues on the tasks, assignments, and projects that you end up working on. Tip number 2, be friendly and introduce yourself to people as you meet them. Now, you don't have to necessarily go around handing cookies to every new coworker that you meet and introduce yourself, but you should be willing to smile and introduce yourself and talk to anyone who comes across your path and make sure that you get to know them as your potential new coworker. So don't be afraid to make small talk with your new coworkers. Ask them how long they've been here, are they enjoying it, what do they do. You want to ask them small questions about themselves in a friendly yet professional way. Tip number 3, learn the processes, systems, and business well. The earlier and more that you're able to understand how the business works, how the processes are run, how the systems function, the better that you're going to be able to perform your job with fewer hiccups and setbacks. So take notes. Ask critical questions when you're receiving training. Play around with the software and systems so that you understand them. Do not be afraid to ask questions. These will all help to accelerate your learning of the basics for your job. Tip number 4, ask smart questions. When you first join a company, right then and there is the time that you need to ask the questions that need to be asked. Going to be upset with you if you ask them basic questions and critical questions now, but they may be upset with you if you ask basic questions 6 months or a year from now. You need to think through the questions that you want to ask so that you can help to understand the business and the processes better, and you need to be willing to actually open your mouth and ask them. And don't forget what the answers are. You don't want to repeat the same questions again and again because you didn't take proper notes or you didn't actually understand it when it was explained to you. So to leave a positive impression is to ask smart questions, ask critical questions, ask why questions, and then understand it. If you don't understand, follow up right then and there. Don't wait a week or 2 to ask them again. And finally, tip number 5, Identify low-hanging fruit opportunities for improvement. Once you're familiar with your team, your department, business processes, and functions, it's time now to start to observe and identify possible areas for improvement. These are things that you know can easily be improved on and will increase the level of efficiency for your team and company. For example, let's say that you identify certain manual processes in your team or department that are slowing things down, and that you know if you just implemented an automated Excel spreadsheet, that that would speed up the processes and would require less manual labor. Once you identify these potential areas for improvement, don't be afraid to bring them to the attention of your manager and make the recommendation to have them changed, and offer for you to be the lead person to make that change. And then the key is to do it. Implement that change, implement that improvement. And don't forget to record the results of that change or improvement that you implemented, so that at the end of the year, when there's a performance review, you'll be able to bring it up, and that's going to help you with your bonus and your salary and your future promotion potential. So there you have it. Those are my 5 tips on how to adapt to a new workplace environment so that you can set yourself up for success. Now, if you are someone...
Okay, so that's it for the video. So these were just some additional tips that we should take into consideration when adapting to the new working environment. So I know that this presentation is really short, but I hope you guys learned something from it. Are there any questions?
We have time for 2 questions. So if you want to type into the chat, that would be okay, but it's ideal if you open your mic. It's coming, Javalerio. It's coming. Don't worry, it's coming.
All right, so can you hear me?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, you made mention of finding persons with experience. So who are those persons with the experience, and where can we find these specific persons?
I'm so sorry. Give me one moment. Okay, so you're saying something about, I'm not hearing you clearly, but you were saying something about I was finding experience. Who are those persons?
Right.
So those persons are, so when you enter into a work environment, you realize that you have persons working there for over 5 years, even 10 years or more. So those are the persons who really have the experience. They're in the working world for a very long time. So they really understand the processes and procedures of what to be done and what not to be done. So those are the persons that you should try to seek advice from. So persons who are in the working world for a very long time, persons who have experience in such and such areas, those persons who are all rounded, we should try to seek experience from them because they can really guide us in what is the right way to get things done and what is not the right way. Were you hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm
Another
here.
question.
Thanks.
You else have another question? No? Okay. I'll be going into my presentation now. um, so I'll be looking at a number of things. I'll be looking at careers and psychology, but also the effects of the careers that we all choose. So it doesn't matter if you're in the psychological fields or not. It ultimately is your relationship with your work and whether or not you're overexerting yourself. There's also stuff about self care and personality types and how they mesh with certain career fields. Some of them you may see recurring. I guess that's just because certain career fields also see a lot of participation from varied persons, different temperaments, and such like that. So basically, this is a presentation about careers and psychology, and we will begin. Oh, it's not moving. Okay. So careers in psychology, we'll have the dangers of burnout.
So,
Sorry? Did someone say something? Okay. The importance of self-care and the 16 personality types and what careers are best suited to them. So we've had it beaten over our heads beforehand. There's clinical psych, there's counseling psych, there's forensic psych. Persons know like the top contenders, at least the top 10: social psychology, cognitive psychology, stuff like that. But I was prowling the internet and I found some odd-ish fields. I didn't think you had a psychologist for aviation, but here we are. So the first one is aviation psychologist, and this studies the human factors that contribute to the aviation industry. So that could mean pilots, the process of selecting pilots as well. Air traffic controllers, those are the persons who keep watch of plane traffic, and also the logistics of how the airport that they're situated in runs. And you also have flight crew members. So the dynamics that would usually play out with persons in a confined area, which is a plane. Give me a moment. Yes, so how persons in a confined area would be that dynamic that plays out usually within it. Um, in certain cases, how you'd help the customer service aspects of flight attendants, the different types of persons who will be flying. Um, you're really looking at all of those, cross-sectioning all of those, and seeing the best way that you can implement policies to help that experience for both the staff
so
and the
I might
passengers.
employ a student to work in my office as a student assistant,
Sorry,
and you have 10 students that apply for the one job, or I have vacancy for two.
is someone
No,
speaking
I will have to go
here
to
or?
application.
Oh, thank you. Okay, sorry about that. So the next one is a vocational counselor, and it is basically self-explanatory. Vocation would be your occupation, to put it lightly, and you're supposed to be offering guidance. You're supposed to be using the different psychological indices, psychometric rather indices, to help persons with certain skill sets, a certain temperament, personality types, their level of education, to find different courses, different skills or degrees that they'd like to enter and be able to make something of themselves in a career path. So you're supposed to assess client interest, their job history, the education and their skills, and then I guess with other careers that they may have expressed interest in, you could also use the psychometrics tests that are available for those fields to put them squarely in what you think may be the best position career-wise for them. Okay, so the next is a consumer psychologist, and this is more into the marketing realm. These persons are versed in the practice of consumer buying habits, so they will be the ones in the ear of marketing strategists and stuff like that, who will be saying, "Hey, Excelsior water crackers sell best on the middle aisle. Put it there." Um, Look at buying trends, especially now. You can probably think that everybody's up in arms now in this pandemic where you're trying to stockpile on certain things. A consumer psychologist probably was behind the explanation for why persons are panicking now, why persons may go for a certain type of thing at XYZ. So they are responsible for looking at buying practices. They may help with con- they may work rather with consumer focus groups to determine how appealing a particular product might be at a certain time. They help develop advertising and marketing campaigns, and they conduct theoretical research on shopping and buying behavior. Then you have an engineering psychologist, and these persons look at the interactions humans have with machines, with technology, and with the built environment. Um, this can go two ways. How does a building particularly affect the human, and how does the human affect the building? How does the human interact with social media, with a phone, with different type of ergonomics? And ergonomics is basically like the art of getting comfortable with a certain thing. Um, and that usually applies to like cars. So why does a certain car sell more? Why does this design of car appeal more to buyers? And they also look at how to design the interior of a car too. So chances are that weird S-shaped kind of thing that you see, the seats are constantly set in with the wings at the side. Probably an engineering psychologist a hand rather in that company while designing the interior. And finally, you have a traffic psychologist. These persons look at the habits of drivers. They look at why persons slow down when there's an accident, or why certain traffic patterns happen at certain times. Uh, I'm not sure if they're in the cross-examining portion of a court trial per se when there's a particularly gruesome accident, but it's not far-fetched. So there is also that. And that ends the 5 little careers that I found that aren't exactly spoken about in this field, in this discipline rather. They are Some of them are newly emerging, like traffic psychologist, which could explain why. But others, they seem to have been around for a good while, especially consumer psychologists, because persons have had buying habits for decades. So it would make sense that something like that has been made before. Where's my cursor? Oh. Okay, so now we'll be talking about burnout. So burnout, usually the number one culprit is stress and not really setting boundaries. Persons, especially us students, where we have multiple, and sometimes it's time management as well. We have multiple things coming down on us at once, and thinking that we can just go through an all-nighter, or not having the adequate rest even if you don't do an all-nighter, using drugs, and caffeine does fit in this, using other stimulants to keep ourselves up and ignoring when our body is telling us to sleep. So stress is the body's natural response to a new or daunting situation or life event. So it's going to happen regardless. We're supposed to have good and proper coping mechanisms. One of them includes time management. Oh no. Sorry about that. So in the presence of stress, you can have your cardiovascular system, your heart, the arteries, the veins, and whatsoever, they can be impacted by this ongoing stress. And here you have hypertension. Here you have palpitations. In some instances, persons have stroke. And the hypertension can also lead to aneurysms, where there are weakened or bulging blood vessels. And that can also cause a stroke, because when an aneurysm ruptures, what happens is the brain, parts of the brain get starved of um, oxygenated blood. So you're having a stroke. This plays out across the board. And as persons are way more conscious about their pockets, especially now with a pandemic where people are losing jobs, where people are uncertain whether they will keep their job if they haven't been sacked already, it's rampant. It's being seen. So, engaging in stressful work environments or deadlines may increase anxiety symptoms, and fear may even help you to self-sabotage what you're already working on. It could have been well prepared, and because of this fear, because you're stressing over it, you may actually self-sabotage, and all of a sudden, could you please mute your mic? And all of a sudden, you find that you've created a new stressful environment because you messed up something that was already good. So frustration can also ensue. Frustration is a feeling of strain, basically. Your discomfort for whatever is stressing you out may not be leaving fast enough or at all, and you can't particularly deal with it. You haven't coped well, and that frustration may leak over into your work life, and that you may snap at a coworker who is asking a legitimate and reasonable question. You may not perform well, and that may mess over your chances of getting a promotion or being um, recommended highly if you have to leave the job. Frustration also doesn't work well on you because memory coming from stress and stuff like that. There's sleep deprivation, there's memory loss because of that. And you are ultimately left with the reckoning of the frustration and the stress that you're dealing with. So depression can also ensue, especially because a lot of persons recognize the stigma against depression and don't want to seek help for it. When you're encountering stress and frustration, it exacerbates it. And all of a sudden, you are overwhelmed and upset, and you can't carry on with your social life. Your healthy up your if you had healthy habits like proper eating or you were active beforehand, that gets thrown out of the window or thrown into disarray. So that's not good, and you don't want to put yourself down into that spiral. I'll pause for now because our guest speaker is here. This is Brittany Love. I think you're going to love this, especially Jo Valerio. She is going to be speaking to us about industrial organizational psychology. So let me just pause here. Oh, oops.
Messy. Okay, good. Guys, seriously, I'm so stressed.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let me introduce Brittany. So this past PSA president, she was president 2016 to 2017, has earned herself a master's degree in industrial organizational psych from the, is it Bologna or the university?
Bologna. Italian.
Bologna. Okay, I've never heard it said like that. Thank
It's
you.
like bologna. Bologna.
Uh-huh. Thank you. From the University of Bologna, Italy. She's an Erasmus Mundus Scholar, and with that has been afforded the opportunity to study and travel across Europe and Canada. She is a people advisory consultant at EY, a global firm specializing in auditing, tax services, and consulting. Please make her welcome.
Hi. Hi, everyone. So, I don't know. Usually I don't like presentations, but I realize some people do. So I'm going to just talk freely as well as show some presentations. How did I come at a full screen? All right. Okay, so industrial organizational psychology, sometimes called business psychology in UK, and it's called work organizational and personal psychology in Italy and in Europe in general. So, but they all mean the same thing. And the idea is that it's the science that focus on improving and increasing workplace flow and productivity. And it's all about focusing on how can employees be happy and have good wellness that can benefit as well as the organization benefiting. So there's two sides to it, as I said, industrial organizational. So let me just pull up the screen quick. Tell me if you can see my screen.
We can.
Or type. All right, cool. So like I said, the industrial side, it tends to focus more on people and individuals. So job analysis has to do with creating job descriptions. It's a little bit, it will sound a little bit like HR, but there's a slight difference. Creating job description and matching which employees' characteristics would fit into that. So I don't know if you've done a job interview and they'll ask you certain questions, or like an internship interview, you have an idea that it's through job analysis that they create these interview questions. Employee safety, it goes from just as simple as which chair is best for your back and so forth, to employees that work in factory, employee training, as it's spelled out for you, trying to enhance your employee skills. Job performance measurement is all about, well, how to say, measuring your performance to see how well you're doing each year. They tend to do it annually. And hiring system, which is basically recruitment. So like I said, that's all about the person. Organizational side, as the name suggests, is focusing on the business and the workplace itself. So it's like how interpersonal relationships work. If you've done what's this called? Team dynamics or interpersonal dynamics. You'll have an idea of what that course is like. So it's all about how can you make your team members gel better in the workplace. Organizational policies, the rules and regulation, change management, which is something that I'm doing right now, and it's stressing the hell out of me. Because that has to do with changing. All right, let me give you a scoop. So we're trying to change the public sector culture, which is not easy because they're very traditional. So it's a lot. And productivity, as it says, how to increase your performance, how to, what I've also learned in Italy, in Europe right now, they're doing this thing called gamification. So the idea is to turn your work activities into games, and to tell if it's really working is to see if your productivity level increased and your engagement level increased than actually just remaining as it is. All right. The slides change. All right, so the road to IO psychology now. Bachelor degree. Oh, I bet everyone is in UE, so 3 to 4 years. And I will always say use your free electives to explore IO psychology topics. If it isn't obvious from what I've mentioned, the different things, some things sound like HR, some things sounds like business management. I'll talk a little bit about the courses that I did in the other slide. Some schools only accept 4 years. For example, if you want to apply for certain schools in Canada, they only accept 4 years degree, which most of us are pretty disqualified from that because it's 3 years. However, there are others who actually just take 3 years. Like, for example, University of Adler in Vancouver, they take 3 years. American schools take 3 years, and European schools take 3 years. And of course, you take 3 years. For the master's degree, you have to do your GRE. It's a graduate record examination. So it's similar to how you would do GSAT or CXC. You have, or SATs. Yeah, it's like a graduate SAT. You have to do it to get into any American school. That is for USA and Canada. You don't have to do it if you're considering to go to Europe. 2 years in all countries, so it's for 2 years, except for UK, which is a 1-year program. People tend to be very iffy about this because you don't know if that 1 year is all practical or if that 1 year is all theoretical. And you don't want to take up a master's degree, which is going to be exactly like UE, where you read for your degree. You don't really want to take up something like that. And the degree is also specialized. So you know how like with you have free electives, some of these master's degree, they already structured the program for you and you just go and do it. You don't necessarily have to always select courses to do unless you decide to pick up a minor, and that's additional money. Lastly, for the PhD, it's 3 to 5 years, which varies in different countries, and it's 2 to 3 years if you graduated from the grad program. For example, if you graduate from Florida Institute or University of Guelph with their master's degree, then you probably might just have 2 years left to do. So people who are interested in doing their PhD, I'll always advise to go to the school that offers the PhD program. So you can, 1, easy acceptance, and 2, it cuts down on your years. And that's when you're actually allowed to call yourself psychologist in America. Okay, so my degree in Europe, I'm called doctor, so Dr. Love. But I can't use that doctor in America because America and Europe have different procedures. So this is where I mentioned the school. Thank you. There's different schools. I think it would be valuable to mention this to you. So if anyone who's interested in IO Psych, I'll give you some insights. You don't have to limit your options to here. So Erasmus Mundus WOC program, that's what I did my master's in. and the benefit is traveling. So you would have to travel to 3 different countries. It's a part of the program. It's mandatory. I studied in Italy for a year and a half, studied in Spain for 6 months. I did my internship in Canada for 3 months, 3 to 4 months. It allows you to have different cultures, so you learn how to adapt to different things. You will meet people from Germany, Colombia, Canada, America, all of a different type of Europeans. I met someone from Indonesia, South Africa, North America, North Africa. It goes on. The practicum now, the practicum is also good because you get to travel and do practical stuff. So for example, if you want to live in Netherlands, you try to get your practical done in Netherlands, so you know how the feel of living in that country would be, and it helps you to decide if you really want to stay in that country or not. No GRE, which is a benefit for me because I tried to do that class and it never worked out. And it kind of pricey, but who knows, it'll probably smarter than me when it comes to that. No exams. It's usually just assignments and projects. And as much as it sounds like a benefit where you don't have to do exams, the assignments are crazy. Subtle, why did I put, subtle networking. That's what I was supposed to put. So because it's different countries you're hopping from, it's really hard to truly network with people if you don't speak the language, which was really something I struggled with. If it's not English, I struggled. I could have basic Italian conversations and Spanish and stuff, but I couldn't have business conversation. So if you think of taking this up, I'd also advise taking up a language just to make your process easier. And the cons, it's more theoretical than practical. Let me see. Yeah, so you have to take up the language, as somebody mentioned. You can survive without it, but if you really want the best experience, I'd say take up a language. More theoretical than practical and can be fully funded. So everything was paid for me. I pretty much got 1,000 euros per month, and I didn't have to pay for the tuition. The 1,000 euros per month was my monthly living, and to be honest, you could actually survive in Europe with just $500 or less. So it's pretty beneficial. So University at Adler is more diverse. That's in Canada. It's practical as well, way more practical than where I did my degree. That you can get jobs on the campus. There's no GRE, no exams, and the networking is crazy good. This is coming from a friend who's currently at the university. So I guess if anyone considers University at Adler, reach out to me so I could reach out to her. And the con is listed to no financial support, which is self-explanatory. Florida Institute, I also got the chance to go there as well. Adler, the psychologist Adler. Florida Institute is also practical, and they provide a work experience in the Air Force and NASA. Yeah, NASA and the Florida airport. They also do the PhD program, and you could finish faster, and the networking as well is also good. They also make some students travel to Europe, but you have to pay for the Europe trip yourself. Again, little financial support, which is really hard. University of Guelph, which is my favorite school, practical, paid job. So when you go to that university in your master's or your PhD, they have a consulting firm that is tied into the master's and the PhD. So you automatically get a job, kind of. You pretty much have a job as well as being a student. The opportunity to travel as well, you also have to pay for that yourself. And they have a PhD program. Little to no scholarship for IO psychologists. And I did put UE here, but I don't know why I can't see UE. Let me just come out of this. What did I put for UE? Okay. For the UE, much better. More affordable, of course, diverse options. The thing about the diverse option is that it's because it's not specialized, you have to choose carefully which courses that aligns with in IO psychology. So for example, they'll give you health in master's degree, but you don't really need to study health with IO psychology. The networking is good if you know how to use it wisely. We have this thing called mentorship program at Student Services. I used it. It's what got me my first job when I finished my bachelor degree. So while others had an issue with finding jobs, I didn't, because I used that as my networking. The thing with UE as well is that it's not just given to you. You actually have to search for that networking opportunity. Yeah. So for the courses recommended to do at UE, if you're interested in IO, it's in management studies. I actually minor in management studies, and I did intro to international business, which happens to be the same course that you will get in your master's degree. It was the same context, everything. I also did marketing, because with an IO psychology degree, if you want to go in marketing, you can actually do that. Let me just keep looking in the chat. No double major, like minor in management studies. If I said major, my bad. I didn't want to stay an extra year. So what else I did? I did HR as well. Okay, I forgot to mention this. There's an IO psychology course in the psychology department. It's there, but it's almost as if you don't notice it. It usually it's for second years and up, and it usually is in the second semester. And I had to find that out on my own. It wasn't something that they usually talk about. Just screenshot this or take a note of all of this. These courses are really good. It helps to narrow into IO, because our degree is pretty general, and there's other countries out there that have more specific bachelor degree for IO. So you have to try to be smart and strategic to choose the courses for your free elective that suits this. Let me make sure and check the chat. Why can't I check the chat? Okay, I can't check the chat. All right, so the general fulfillment, like general career options in IO here. I mentioned organizational development manager. So, all right, let me just try to break this down. It's basically HR, but specifically if an organization wants to do a change, that person leads that organization and leads the change and different stuff. For example, my mom is a HR manager, and they gave her an OD role for a while. And she had to do stuff like succession planning and so forth. So that's what an OD manager does. Yeah, that like what she said, intro to IO psychology. I did it in my second year though, because I found out about it in my second year. So if you're in your second year or third year and you think you're late, you're not. The only thing is that it's a first year free elective. Yeah. So don't use up your first year free elective. Yeah, back to the option. Talent management specialist, as it suggests, is all about talent acquisition, from recruitment to training. Sometimes you train leaders, sometimes you train employees, and figure out what skills to enhance and knowledge for them to excel. Behavior analysis, they focus on describing, understanding, predicting behavior. This is typically money making in marketing and economics, because it's you trying to customer behaviorism that can really make some big money if you think about it. So that's something to look into, but you have to love data for this. You have to really love data for this. Consultant, that's me, meets with executives and others in leadership position to review organizational development. basically everything HR except I'm supposed to be the expert, which is not true. I am the thing with consultant, I can just give you a tip on that. If you like an unstable life, this is the job for you. By unstable, I mean you travel a lot, so you won't really like have a home per se. You probably might have to change countries or change cities. You would have to work. Sometimes you find yourself working for 10 all the way to 10 p.m. That's sometimes you just have to realize that you don't have a life. And then you go on vacation and then they're calling you. So sometimes you have to leave your laptop if you want peace of mind. That's consultants for you. Research analyst. I was a research analyst when I was doing when I finished my bachelor's degree at KPMG, and I specialized in marketing. So it was as if behavior analysis and research analysis came together. As it suggests, the research project and works closely with project teams and analyze data. I think some people would also have benefits of doing that at UE, like you become like a research assistant. It's kind of the same thing. And then lastly, HR officer and manager. That's pretty much every element of HR, including the administration. If you know HR jobs, then you'll find yourself doing HR admin in OD manager, talent management, and HR officer. You also find yourself doing admin in research analysis. Admin does not exist in behavior analysis and consultant. You always have to constantly use your brain. There's no break. What else? Pay. Let me see if anyone in the chat have anything to say. What does a research assistant do? All right. So a research assistant, they help you in certain let me not repeat the same thing. They help you when you are trying to discover or explore an idea or collect surveys. For example, you will find people in their third year or master's student doing their thesis and they need help to collect data. So you're the one who walks around with the survey asking for participants and so forth. That's a research assistant. They also use stuff like SPSS and so forth, which in all honesty, when you finish UE and SPSS, don't even bother think you're using it again because you really don't. As an IO psychologist, you don't. You use things complex like Excel Advanced, SQL, R, Python. These are computer science stuff. So it is not as easy. IO, I can understand why IO is the second most paid psychologist.
No, it's the first. I think psychometrics is below it. Michael was telling us. Wait, no, Dr. Lips rather. Dr. Lips.
Oh, Dr. Lips. Oh, actually, guys, Professor Lips is the person who introduced me to Erasmus Watt Masters because I wanted to go University of Guelph and I didn't have the finances for it. And then he's like, hey, check out this place. And then I checked out that place. Yeah.
He is the plug.
Yeah. Computers ain't my strong suit. How do I even manage? I struggle every day. But I'm so grateful because at least I could say that as a psychologist or doctor lover or whatever, I'm not doing something that's traditional and I'm not doing something that I can get bored of. So I can definitely say I'm learning every single day, which is a benefit actually, because your job can get boring to you. All right, so for the final thing, and then I'll leave the floor for a question and just talk. Okay, pay varies, not various. Mistake. Pay varies from countries to countries and pay varies from industries to industries. So I use the US data annual salary. put it there. I guess if you're planning to live in a different country, this will benefit you. But if you're planning to stay in Jamaica, it will not benefit you because Jamaica is a place where people go to get lower labor costs. So when you see yourself for USD, it's not going to happen for you. So let's focus on the JA data just in case you end up staying in Jamaica. The entry-level consultant is from a 150K to a 250K, and that's net pay. HR officer is 100K to 150K. Research officer is 80K to 100K. So I'm an entry-level consultant. I'm pretty much being paid close or in the range, in the range of an engineer. Yeah, of an uncertified engineer. So they have to be certified. Maybe they get better paid if they're certified, but I don't know, which is really great because people always say, why are you going to psychology? You know, I got no money, da, 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 da. But look at me, I'm getting the same pay as an engineer and probably more than some doctors and, you know, that kind of. So keep your options open. Non-traditional jobs may be hard to get, but once you're strategic and intentional, you will get it and it will be much better than a traditional job, in all honesty. So lastly, lesson learned. This is just me thinking on top of my head. So I put it here in quotation: as changes happen in countries, it affects the organization and its people. More than ever, IO psychology expertise are demanded. When the country/organization is in crisis, they need us. When they are booming, they need us. And you bring extra value to IO psychology when you can prove that you are socially and culturally sound. So why I say this, when the economy was going great, both pre-COVID, I don't know if everyone know how Jamaica all of a sudden start talking about stocks, and more than ever, stocks was always there, but you know, more than ever talking about stocks, USD was going good, all them kind of something there. More than ever, they end up needing IO psychology because they realize, okay, we want to be better, we want to be greater. How can we do it? We need to improve our people. Call an IO psychology. The public sector, the office of the prime minister have his own IO psychologist currently. More than when they were booming, they started to call us. And now that they're in a crisis, everybody talking about how to cope with COVID-19, who them call? IO psychologists. You probably hear an HR person talk about it. You probably hear a manager talk about it. But honestly, they got their information from a IO psychologist. And yes, so when I mean like you have to prove that you're socially and culturally sound, I realize because people are dynamic and different and from all different circles of life, when you can prove that you can understand people's behavior, understand the mechanics and the tactics that urges certain behavior and all that kind of stuff, then you can prove yourself as a good psychologist and IO psychologist. And yeah. What else have I learned? I've learned that it's not easy. IO psychology is not a walk in the park because you have this constant battle between being there for the people and being there for the business. Business people tend to care more about the money. People tend to care about their well-being and themselves. And so you have to find that sweet spot to have everyone experience that win-win experience. Yeah. That's where my PowerPoint end actually. Now it's just leaving the floor for anyone to ask me a question or anything.
Okay, so we can facilitate 5 questions, and I think Javaliro will be all 5. So, so I'm just gonna pick on him off the bat. I know him want to ask something.
Yes. All right. Good afternoon. Stellar presentation, might I add. I really appreciate it, especially seeing that I can hardly find persons who are interested in IO psychology. Well done. My question is though, we have this stigma that when you leave university with a bachelor's degree that you don't get a job and most persons end up teaching. How do you go about that? What do you do to get a job and then progress to doing your master's?
This is gonna sound as cliche as possible, but networking. That's as cliche as possible. But there's a finesse to networking. So from my class or my graduating class, there are practically only, and this is gonna find terrifying. I never mean to scare you when I say this. Probably 5 to 10 people who's actually doing what they wanted to do in psychology, and it's like 300 other way graduated in 2017, and that sounds pretty bad. But one thing we all had in common was the fact that we were strategic about it. Like for me, I feel out different psychology. So when I was in first year, I think it was first year they did abnormal psychology. Whenever they did that course, that was the day I realized I don't want to do clinical and forensic. I was
Same,
traumatized from that. I don't want to
same.
deal with that level of people. Because really and truly, it's those psychologists that deal with that level of intensity that really make the money in clinical psychology. So I tried to look into my other options. So you had forensic. I did a criminology course with Michael. I realized criminology have enough things with law and I don't want to do law. So I was like, okay, what else can I do? And then I found out about IO psychology. How is my, okay, hold on, and then I found out about that. So what I did after that is I used the mentorship program. Honestly, the mentorship program helped me a lot. It made me have a mentor in HR. She was an HR manager, but she was an HR manager for a company who was Canadian based. So that was great. I also did work experience. I used National Youth Service. So some people would go to work and travel. I mean, if you have to do work and travel, you have to do work and travel. But if you couldn't do
Brittany, you're breaking up a little bit. Do you have your phone nearby your device or?
yeah, I did.
Okay, good to know.
All right. Yeah. If you don't have to go to work and travel, use the National Youth Service to get job experience. They try to put you in places that you want it to be. When I was interested in forensic psychology, I got to work in the police force. When I was no longer interested in it, I got to work in HR.
You're breaking up again. I don't know what's happening.
Maybe it's the internet.
The exasperation in your voice.
So I hope that answered the question. It's all about using your UA experience. And more, LinkedIn is so perfect right now because you can always use a student card. Hey, I'm a student. I want to learn. Can I have a moment of time as a professional to ask you how you did this and that? And they will more likely answer your LinkedIn when you say, I want to learn, as opposed to saying, I want a job. Somebody asked how my friend funded. She worked for a year in 2 jobs in Jamaica, and then when she paid for her first year, no idea knowing how she would pay for her second year, she just went there and figured it out. She got a job. You can get a work permit as a student, as an international student in Canada. That helps. What type of jobs can you get with a first degree? Research officer. I was a market research analysis that works, which is a really good position, to be honest. It teaches you get to put hands-on experience with data and Excel because nobody uses SPSS at workplace. You can be an HR officer too. HR assistant, not officer, with first degree. The thing with the first degree in psychology, on it, you may not get like the best job, or probably like a really entry administration job if you don't start from now to do networking and the mentorship program. Let me see. Anything else? How do you? Am I still breaking up?
Yes, you are breaking up really badly.
Can I interject and ask a question or?
Yeah, you can ask a question.
All right. Do you have any tips for networking for introverts? Because I'm here, I'm terrified on my end of the screen, to be honest. Because people always encourage us to network. But introverts, we're here on the planet too, you know. So.
Okay. All right. Would you believe me if I tell you that I was an introvert? No.
No.
Yeah. More than ever, honestly, I think this pandemic is such a lesson for introverts, because you can find yourself being a little bit more confident on the other side than in person. So I would say your strength is to use LinkedIn. Create a list of people you'd like to talk to, like do your research, write them a message, a very short message, like a 5 line or 6, telling them why are you interested to talk to them and want to learn from them. Only ask for 15 to 20 minutes, because I mean, you're introverted and you have to lead that conversation, and you don't want to spend a whole hour leading that conversation. So 15-20 minutes is great for you and great for them, because they have other things to do anyways. Then do a follow-up message to them. Thank you for your time. Always write one sentence on what you have learned from the call. And then schedule yourself to reach out to them next time. Because as an introvert, or as anyone, you will eventually forget to reach out to them. That helps. It helps, because everything is done online and you don't necessarily have to see them. And you just focus on people who you actually care to talk to.
Thank you, that's all.
Yeah. How to go about the mentorship program. I just went to student services, the one that's close to Carrie Mac or so. And then they tell me how to sign up. Yeah. Do it from now. But
Okay,
then again,
sorry about
we have the pandemic. Call them and see if they're doing the program during this pandemic, and see what can happen.
Okay, we have time for one more question before we close out. Clearly, this is a very popular presentation. Brittany, thank you.
Marisha, we may need to invite Dr. Love to come back.
Of course, next semester.
Hold on, but persons hardly believe. I feel like with people who think that we're not an introvert are people, maybe we aren't as introverted, but for example, I did a presentation on HR conference, Caribbean HR conference. For 3 days I talk. And after that conference, I block out everybody. I'm not chat to nobody for a whole 2-3 weeks, because I needed that by myself, because I can be an introvert sometimes. I sent my email in the chat. Somebody asked if they could talk. So there's my email if you want to reach out. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Guys, this was a really wonderful meeting. Thank you to Oshane for facilitating, and Oksana. I hope she's still here, for facilitating this meetup. A lot of the times we think of our clubs as mutually exclusive and that we can't find some sort of common ground with other persons, but here we are. Here we are doing a fun collaborative activity, and we have Dr. Love, who's spilling all the beans on IO psychology and really getting us amped up and interested in the field. And that's what we really want. We want engagement. We want genuine love for this discipline. So we thank you for exposing all of IO psychology's intricacies and stuff that we don't usually hear. Thank you for the exposing us the opportunities as well, because most of us usually think linear. We think, okay, UE Master School. Here we have a presentation with 3 other universities that we probably can reach. So really, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for the career club participants who came out as well. You are, thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you for
Aldith, would you
having
like to
us.
say anything? Oh, no problem. No problem.
I just want to say thank you. When I reached out to Brittany very early, because Oksana, we had a little meeting, and I reached out to her, and she did not even hesitate.
Of course.
And I know she still don't know what I look like, but it's just to say that you can know that her heart is in it, and that she's focused on getting persons to be successful. She is interested in that, and it's such a pleasure seeing you and hearing you share, because it really helps persons to just get back that rhythm and get back that passion and get that focus. And we know that, and being a past PSA president, you are just a light, and we are so grateful for you giving back, for reaching back and pulling us along. We really appreciate it.
Can I tell you a fun fact? The colored logo that you have, I did it with my.
Wow. You see, you never know the legacy. So whatever you're doing, do it to your best, because you may just be leaving a legacy for others. And that's definitely a takeaway for today.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Brittany. And it was a
Bye.
great meeting.
Thanks, Amelia. Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Brittany, before you run, would you mind sharing your PowerPoint with us?
Hold on. Let me just double check to make sure there's not anything that no one can lock me up for.
Jamila, we will sort it out and send it to the group. Not to
All
worry.
right. Yeah,
We
there's
have our
nothing that.
contact.
All
And
right.
for career club,
All
are
right,
you
thank
guys
you.
also interested in the PowerPoint? Getting the PowerPoint?
Oh,
Asta
yes,
is.
we are very
Yes, we
interested.
are.
All right, so I'll
Yes.
send it to you, Oksana,
Thank you.
because I already have your number.
All right, so
Okay.
guys, thanks for coming out. Dr. Love, you are taking out our final club session in great style. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And guys, we want to just tell you to just get excited, send in your ideas of what it is you're interested in, so that we can tantalize and excite you into the next semester. All right? Bless you, everybody. Do well on your exams. Bye.
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 Bye bye, guys.
Bye, guys, and all the best on your exam.